Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. In today's video, we will discuss about Saturn, that is Shani, meeting Rahu in the sign of Pisces or Mean in the month of April 2025. The impact of this is mainly heavy activation of the water element and wars on the oceans. So we will analyze this in more detail. We will see other aspects of this conjunction and what it can bring on the world stage. Now, this is the chart as on 12th April 2025, 11:50 p.m. and I have taken the place as Beijing, China. Now, on 29th March 2025, Saturn enters the sign of Pisces or Mean, and on 12th April 2025, these planets will form an exact conjunction at 1 degrees in the sign of Pisces. Now first, let us understand what the zodiac sign of Pisces represents. It is the last sign in the zodiac belt. It is the natural 12th house of the zodiac, and therefore it indicates living things. It indicates isolation, it indicates spirituality, it indicates losses of material things, and it indicates an ending. It is the last sign of the zodiac. Now let us understand Saturn. Saturn is about structure, hard work, discipline, hurdles, obstacles. And let us also understand Rahu. Rahu is illusion. Rahu is obsession with material things. Rahu amplifies the significations of the sign and the planet in which it is placed. Rahu represents deception. Rahu represents smoky things. Rahu represents cheating and is shadowy by nature. And Rahu represents compulsive desires. While Saturn represents patience, it represents a long time to get results. Rahu is very rebellious by nature. Rahu wants instant gratification. So in this sign, Saturn and Rahu create a tussle, or rather it creates a major transformation in this sign. So this conjunction here can bring about major upheavals in the world, and the sign of Pisces also represents water bodies, oceans, seas, creatures living within the sea. Now both these planets, that is Shani and Rahu, will meet each other in the fourth pada of Purva Bhadrapad Nakshatra, and Purva Bhadrapad Nakshatra represents a dual-faced man. In short, Rahu's energy can obsess a person with spiritual practices. The person may overdo spiritual practices because of this conjunction, or he can put an outward show of spiritual practices while in reality not understanding spirituality at all. Now, the conjunction of Rahu Saturn here can trigger naval wars in a big way, because the water element gets heavily activated. Saturn is structure, discipline, and Rahu is rebellious in nature. And this is happening in the sign representing oceans and spiritual waters. So definitely this triggers large-scale naval wars. Rahu can also indicate deception, that is, someone may try to encroach into the naval territory of other countries and use covert operations to annex other person's territories. So in this case, This shows extreme disruption on the seas. It indicates naval wars. Neptune is also present here in the sign of Pisces. Neptune also indicates magic, illusion. Person lives in a fantasized world, or he's in a state of fantasy. Neptune also shows the liquids such as oil, water, and Neptune here with Saturn and Rahu can cause large scale destruction through floods in this time frame. During this time frame, different countries will be engaged in naval wars, and the Saturn Sun Rahu here, that shows political struggle. Sun represents government, authority, our ego, and Saturn is the exact opposite. So this Saturn Sun conjunction here can bring troubles to the government. You can see large countries getting involved in naval war in this time period. In this time period, you can see Venus is at 0 degrees, Mercury is at 3 degrees, Uranus is at 1 degree, Mars is at 3 degree, and Venus is very close to Saturn and Rahu. Venus is the significator or the karaka for relationships, partnerships, and Venus is with Sun, Saturn, Rahu, Mercury, Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So this indicates strained relationships between different governments. The Sun, Saturn, Rahu conjunction amplifies the strained relationships, and this clearly points out to a big naval war happening in this time period. If you look at the other water sign, that is the sign of Cancer also, there you will find Mars at 3 degrees. Mars is directly aspecting Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, and Cancer is also a sign that represents emotions, and in this sign Mars is generally frustrated. Mars does well in Capricorn, that is Mars does better on the battlefield than in a sign where it has to nurture things. Mars is aggressive, so Mars's presence in Cancer indicates heated emotions or an emotional outburst among people. Now, one more interesting thing to observe is that Rahu puts its fifth aspect on Mars, forming an Angarak Yoga, thus heavily activating water signs, indicating a war. Saturn also aspects Uranus, and Uranus indicates suddenness. Uranus indicates changes across generations. It indicates changes that impact large masses and entire generations to come ahead. So this Saturn's aspect on Uranus can trigger war through airplanes, aircrafts, missiles, bombs, chemical weapons, and that indicates that this period of April to May 2025, which is going to come, will definitely take us towards naval wars and large-scale disturbances on the seas. Disturbances can also be caused due to storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and that can result in major loss of life. During this period, the oil prices will definitely go up because Neptune is being influenced by Rahu, Saturn, and Sun. So it also indicates a major increase in crude oil prices and a struggle for getting oil in this time period between different countries. Now, this is the third house for China, that is the sign of Pisces, and you can see a cluster of planets there. And therefore, China is likely to get into a major naval war in this time period. This could be with one of its neighbors like Taiwan or India. That is the reason why you see I took the place as Beijing, China when I made this chart. So Chinese Navy will definitely get into some major encounter with a neighboring country, in this time period. That is what is clearly seen from this chart. So the months from April to May 2025 clearly point out to large scale incidents on the seas, disturbances on the seas, and large scale naval wars. Now, Rahu also represents scams and Saturn represents justice. And these two planets are combining in the Purva Bhadrapad Nakshatra, which is ruled by a deity called Ajay Ekapada, or the one-footed serpent, who lies deep inside the ocean, and therefore it also indicates that certain scams will come out in this time period in a big way. Now, one more thing to look at is Mercury. Mercury is at 3 degrees. Rahu and Saturn are at 1 degree in the sign of Pisces. So, Mercury is also very closely conjunct to Saturn and Rahu. And Mercury indicates the internet, it indicates e-commerce, it indicates documentation. So, when Mercury clubs with Saturn and Rahu in the sign of Pisces, it also indicates major cyber attacks across the world in this time period. Banking systems can also collapse in this time period due to the cyber attacks. And there can be utter anarchy, especially if the internet goes down for a short period of time. So those indications are also seen in this time period. And therefore, the period from April to May 2025 is very critical for the world. Now, because Mercury is with Rahu, it can also bring out scams in the stock market. So, you need to understand this is the natural 12th house, and transformation or humans moving further towards spirituality can happen due to the signification of the 12th house. That is losses, isolation, and large scale sacrifice. Now understand that this is the 4th house in United States chart and also the natural 12th house. So it indicates recession in USA. Why? Because 4th house is the motherland. Mercury and Venus represent money, and this house signifies loss or a downfall. So it shows a major recession in the United States, and US could also get involved in naval war. So friends, I'll conclude this video here. If you liked it, please mark it as liked on YouTube. For any queries, write to us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com, or you can visit our website astroseva.tripod.com. So friends, thanks a lot. Bye. Take care and stay safe. I will see you soon with another video.